welcome everyone. We appreciate a great crowd today. I think a lot of folks here are interested in what the mayor has to say. So I want to thank Wilson Services. Wilson, you guys there for the plants to make me look better up here. So, yeah. So, no, they're not poison ivy, right? Okay, we don't need that. So, all right, well, with that, welcome Commissioner Mark Hill for the invocation and pledge.
Good morning. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we gather here in your name, recognizing the sacrifice of time and effort many have made to be present. We are grateful for everyone in attendance today for food, fellowship, and reflection. We pray for unity and collaboration among us. We ask that you continue providing wisdom and guidance for the city leaders. We are mindful of the weight of the decisions before them as they serve the citizens of East Peoria. May we all depart here today in harmony in the spirit of collaboration. In your name we pray. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, as Mayor Mingus used to tell me, people don't want to hear what you have to say. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mayor John Call.
Good morning. First of all, let me start off by thanking all of you for taking time out of your busy morning to join us here today. Did a couple of media interviews prior to standing up here, and a lot of the same questions they asked you may have yourselves. So I'll try to save a little time at the end of the day or at the end of the speech to do a question and answer. But I just want to say before we get started, Mayor Mingus has always attended these, and I appreciate Commissioner Hill taking one for the team this morning, because Rick called me yesterday and said, hey, Dave's not going to be able to make it. He always does the invocation and the pledge. And he said, do you mind doing that? And I said, Rick, that's what you had me do last year. The problem was I forgot to do it. I got up here and started running my gums, and I totally missed it. And I'm about halfway through it last year, and I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't even do the pledge. So anyway, Commissioner Hill, thank you for taking one for the team this morning. Appreciate it. Get this going here. Uh-oh. All right, here we go, right out of the blocks. Hopefully it's not too far away. There we go. John, you're going to have to step up, I think. Oh, went too far. There we go. Well, that sucks. I just bought this thing last night. So what a way to get it off. Anyway, staff recognition. Today in the audience we have, I believe, 32 employees from the city of East Peoria here. And I can't say enough good things about our employees. You know, they take a lot of pride in delivering the products and services that the city's responsible for. So if you folks don't mind, would all the city employees stand to be recognized? And let's give them a round of applause. And thank you very much. And one of the things the city prides itself on is the tenure of a lot of our employees. And this is going to be a big year. You know, the last few years we've had police and firefighters retire, you know, after they do their 20, 25, in some cases 30 years of service with the city, which we always appreciate. Usually the city council, we have the opportunity to recognize them when we approve their separation agreements on the council floor. oftentimes, staff that works behind the scenes, not really a public face per se, but we have a lot of long-term employees that will be retiring this year. And I'd like to recognize a couple of them. He'll be at 32 years at the time of his retirement, which is Rick Szymanski, Superintendent of Streets. Let's give him a round of applause. Rick, stand up. And the other keeps me in line with the media and makes sure that we don't say anything we shouldn't, or at least grant them the interviews when they ask for them. But Jill Peterson's been with the city for, it'll be 27 years, and she's stepping out here in about 30 some days. But who's counting? I like the river. She's got that short time calendar up. So Jill, stand to be recognized, please. It's going to be some big shoes to fill, and we already have a couple folks in place that'll be assuming their roles. We're going to kind of restructure some things a little bit. Jill was kind of the jack of all trades. She's the fire admin assistant, but she also does all the public relations. She's the one that's doing the social media, and there's a lot of things that city staff do above and beyond their everyday responsibilities, and the city's been blessed in that regard. But we welcome the employees that have stepped into their place. Brett Tucker will be taking over for Rick. Brett's been with the city for like 27 years himself. So I think they'll do a phenomenal job. But I appreciate all of you very much. Thank you for all you do day in and day out. All right, elected officials. So with me today are 3 out of the 4 commissioners. So I'd like to ask those folks to stand: Commissioner Mark Hill, Commissioner Dan Decker, and Commissioner Seth Mingus. And you've heard me say it before, I greatly appreciate working with these guys. We're almost 6 years working together on this council, and there are no egos on that council. And that much I appreciate. That says a lot about their character. Don't always agree, and that's okay. It's respectful. Even in the last meeting, Commissioner Decker wasn't there, but we had some spirited conversation between Commissioner Sutherland, who's not here, and myself. But as soon as that ends, it ends. You move on. You don't agree on a subject matter, and we look out for the best interests of the city. So thank you guys. Also with us today, I'd like to recognize some other elected officials, and if you don't mind standing as I say your name. Brett Grimm, he's the Tazewell County Board Chairman. Jeff Lauer, Tazewell County Sheriff. Kevin Johnson, Tazewell County State's Attorney. Senator Sally Turner. Senator Dave Kaler. Representative Sharon Chung. From Congressman LaHood's office, Catherine Coyle and Josh Burchell. And if you don't mind, give these folks a round of applause. Listen, public service, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on or whether it's partisan, nonpartisan. There's a lot more than meets the eye, and a lot of times you make some difficult decisions knowing that, half the people or maybe the majority of the people aren't going to agree with your decision. So, I think it's more about respect. We don't always agree on the issues, but at the end of the day, as long as you're focused on the right things and you work together, that's what it's all about. Okay, we're going to go right into the city finances. So East Peoria has touted itself for decades being in a very strong financial position, and that remains the case today. Up here on the screen, just want to cover the revenues and expenses. One of the things I've done since I'm mayor, anything I put up on that screen is out of full transparency. We have a balanced budget. We've always had a balanced budget. May not look like it on the expense side, but that's why I got a little footnote down there to explain that. So our revenues, we're projecting about a 2.2% increase in revenues, just about $71.6 million this year is what we've projected in our budget. On the expense side, it's $94 million. Of that, $20 million of that are the bonds to pay for the construction of the new police station. Those bonds are being covered, as you can see here, by the loan proceeds I don't know how many people recall this, and I want to correct it because the media likes to say, oh, the revenue off the new Bluetown. No, it's the loan proceeds off the Bluetown project that cover the debt on the police station. And then, as years passed, I've talked about some large capital projects that we had in the works for that given year. Sometimes, no fault of our own, those projects get delayed into another year. So we have some funds that have been previously allocated, some as far back as 3 years, that roll over into this year. So we capture those under expenses. I want to talk about our pension funds. About 2016, I want to say late 15, early 16, Mayor Mingus was our mayor. I was a commissioner. Mayor Mingus, Commissioner Densberger, who was over accounts and finance, and I, we decided to about 80% of the property tax levy that we capture goes to pension liability. And one of the things that we did, knowing that the law was going to require us to be within 100% funded by 2040, we got ahead of the game. Whether people agree or disagree with that, pensions they're an obligation. Listen, this is no fault of the employees. When they accepted that job, this is what was offered to them. Whether you agree or disagree, we feel strongly that that is our obligation to fund those properly. So back in 16, we took a different route where we were funding those basically with the goal of being at 100% meeting that deadline. So I'm pleased to say with the firefighter pension in 2016, we're only 47% funded. As of last year, we're just under 66% funded. On the police pension side, we're at 53.5%. This past year, we're at 66.2. So I'll know by May of this year where we're at in 2025. But despite what may happen in Springfield, there's some talk about, going out to 2050 or whatever they may be working on. We're going to stay the course on that. We made a commitment in 2016 to get there sooner because it's what people need to understand. The sooner you get there, the flatter that is. And that saves the city money in the long run. Down at the bottom, I put a footnote on there because I've had a lot of people ask, with the 1% grocery tax, what's East Peoria going to do? The council, individually, we've talked about it, and I think is what, and I hope people understand when I explain myself here, we are going to impose that 1% tax. And I don't want to be disparaging here, but that was not the governor's tax to put a feather in his cap and give back to the people. He likes to talk about how he's there helping working class people, and I'm not going to dump on him. Let him figure out his political aspirations on himself. I'm the mayor of East Peoria, and my focus is here. But there's an adverse effect on the municipalities. Go back to 1990, there was legislation called sales tax reform that went into effect. And is what that was that grocery tax at the time, a portion of it went to the municipalities. So it's what the state did. They wanted to get rid of their portion of the tax. So as kind of a compromise, we're not home rule. We can't just go and implement anything on our people that we want to. It doesn't work that way. As a compromise in 1990, the state got rid of its portion, but it imposed a 1% grocery tax that it's required to administer and collect and then give back to local governments. That was 1990. So I don't know what was going through his mind. I really don't care. It's a done deal. They got rid of it. The only one it really impacts are the local governments. So we will be imposing that. I don't have a dollar amount. I know some communities have put out there, well, this is how much revenue we're going to anticipate losing, but I would venture to say it's upwards of over $2 million for the city of East Peoria. So just want to put that out there, full transparency. Later on this year, we have until October 1st to impose that and turn that back over to the Illinois Department of Revenue. Very good. Okay, so this is a look at our capital improvements this year. Up on the top right-hand side is the dollar amount that we've allocated. Just to remind folks, we implemented a 5-year capital plan 6 years ago, and that is constantly changing, and we update that every year. So I've got the pie chart broken down. I won't bore you to death with all the details because later on in the presentation, I'll cover some of the things that are in this capital improvement plan. But this is where all the funding is coming from to cover the cost of those this year. It's another big year in East Peoria. So aside from the things that I'll discuss later in the presentation, part of that capital plan includes repairing and improving our facilities and a number of equipment purchases. So I want to talk a little bit about the city departments. I'll start with the fire department. We saw a slight uptick in calls for service this year as folks that may be impacted by this, maybe have had experience with our fire department. I know we have personally, and they do a phenomenal job, but it's ALS certified paramedics that we have. We are fully staffed, at least we were when I made the slide. And then we had a retirement Friday, so here we go again. But in all seriousness, we have a eligibility list, and then we've also had some recent promotions, well deserved, as we've had folks retire and folks move up the chain. But just want to touch on real quick, Station 2 opened up there on Centennial, and that is by far our busiest fire station. So as it stands today, we operate 4 out of 4 stations with the goal in mind to relocate Central Station, the main station down by the Levy District, within maybe the next 2, 3, 4 years is our goal, and then shift everything back to 3 fire stations. But I'll say we're fully staffed because I'm confident we'll get someone hired. Just real quick, John, before we move on, the top left photo, that was part of our capital plan for this year. That's a $695,000 engine that's waiting to be picked up. It got completed sooner than we had anticipated, but we'll grab that thing on May 1st, and then there's a photo of our newest ambulance. So appreciate the fire department, all they do in protecting our citizens. Police department, everybody knows, I've talked about it quite frequently. We're building a new police station down at 500 West Camp, which sits right at the Clock Tower intersection. They're finally moving dirt, which is a good thing. We're hoping to move dirt in January. This winter has not been as kind to us as our previous 2 winters, but they're down there moving dirt, and there's a bet going around City Hall on when that's going to be completed. I'm pretty sure I'm losing the bet. I was super confident that they were going to be on schedule. But we'll see how that works out. But River City is our construction manager at risk, and these guys are hard at work. It's going to be about a 38,000 square foot building, state-of-the-art facility. Will serve us much better and be something we can all be proud of. With our police department, we are fully staffed at 51 officers. And out of the 51, and I'll touch on it in District 86 slide when we get to it, we added another SRO. East Peoria, we really believe strongly in the SRO program. We don't apologize for it. I think the school would agree with this. It's been a very, very effective tool. These guys, the officers, they build these really good relationships with the students, and I think it goes a long way in our community. So between 86 and 309, we added 2, so we have a total of 3 SROs. And then we just got word that Luna, she passed all of her certifications. We added a second K-9 this year, thanks to an anonymous donor who funded the purchase of the K-9, but just got her trained, and Officer Rogie and Luna are ready to get to work, and we're super excited to have a second K-9 added. Just want to mention one of our retired K-9s, Taz, served with us for 7 years, and February 14th, unfortunately due to health issues, was euthanized, and these guys did a really good job escorting our K-9 officer out to Diders in Washington, and we did a nice little flag ceremony on behalf of Taz, so appreciate the service. Okay, street maintenance. This is something super exciting. I know we did Springfield Road last year. That was a full reconstruction. It was a very costly thing. Anyone that's driven it, you see it pays dividends. That is the nicest roadway we have in East Peoria. One of the things the commissioners hear time and time again from our residents, and rightfully so, what is the one thing that impacts your daily life when you get up and you head out of the house? You got to drive on your residential street. So, I talked to the media a little bit earlier, and I don't blame folks for wanting to see more and more funds allocated for residential streets. It's the one thing that touches their everyday life, and they pay taxes, and in their mind they should have a quality street. But this council's really done a good job allocating funds. We're going to invest about $3 million just in residential streets alone, between motor fuel tax funds, and then we're going to use $2 million out of general fund to cover that. We've already gone out for bid, and that program is going to be well underway. And then I pointed out earlier under the expense side, one of the big projects that's been delayed for a couple of years, no fault of East Peoria, is the Camp and Riverside intersection improvements. They are much needed. That is a busy space. The roadway's in poor condition. That's going to be reconfigured, and the city's portion is $1.5 million. And then for those that travel Pinecrest, we made some improvements through, we broke it down into 3 phases. This was kind of an add-on, no different than what we're going to do this year. If we head into this next fiscal year and we're in great financial shape and we got additional revenues because we budget conservatively to make sure we live within our means, we'll come back and tackle future projects. So phase 3 of Pinecrest is basically from 474 to Muller Road. So that is for sure on the agenda this year to finish out those improvements. And then our water department, Cord is not here today, the superintendent of water. He had a previous obligation. But, that's one aspect that a lot of people just tend to forget, is water. And East Peoria is unique in that we provide all of the services. So we handle water and wastewater here. East Peoria does, the city. And these folks work very, very hard. When you're dealing with a lot of old infrastructure like East Peoria has, as you can imagine, this time of year, as the ground freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws, that aging infrastructure really takes a toll. And these folks are out there in some of the worst conditions fixing water main breaks. But that's another thing I appreciate about this council. For the 6th year in a row, we're going to really focus on replacing a lot of water main and sewer. So, and then down at the bottom, the water production department, this is a big deal. They've worked really hard on this effort, but they achieved, there's 3 different award levels, and I've got it spelled out on here. They've achieved gold. They've met all 4 standards, which is a big deal. And they do a really great job of making sure that the water that we deliver to our customers, they are our customers, is both, clean water. And then I think a lot of people discount what goes in the water treatment side of it. And I know people complain about the taste of city water. Well, you have to abide by IEPA regulations, and we do that. We take a lot of pride in meeting those standards. And then real quick before I get into Eastside, one of the things on street and water that the council did this year, we have in there in the capital this year to purchase a new Vector truck. We currently have 2. One we don't even use anymore. Both departments use a Vector truck. So what we're going to do this year is they're splitting the cost of the new Vector because the street department will take the old, what's now the current Vector, and when the new one comes in, the water department will get that. I didn't put that up there. Eastside Center. Anyone that's gone to Eastside sees the reinvestment this council's put into that. That continues this year. Right now, Field 10, the Dave Rogers Field, is being redone. That's being turfed, new dugouts. It's going to be a phenomenal space. Next on the horizon is about a $2.5 million reinvestment. We're going to do Fields 8 and 9 are on the docket for this next fiscal year. So by next spring, we'll have those 2 fields done. I put down there ground maintenance. A lot of people may not know this, and it goes back to what I said about city staff and multiple responsibilities. Corey's team does about 70 plus properties that are city owned. They maintain them outside of Eastside, and they really do a phenomenal job. And one of the things that I'm a stickler on is appearance. I can't control the IDOT right of ways as much as I would like to. They're not well maintained, but I feel strongly that we have a responsibility to maintain the city's grounds, and we have several of them throughout the corporate limit, and they do a phenomenal job. So I greatly appreciate them and all the hard work up at Eastside. That's not an easy job. Think about it. You have all these tournaments. Tournaments usually aren't daytime stuff. These folks work a lot of weekends, a lot of nights away from their families, and they rock it every year. Eastside, Corey did a presentation. Won't go down the whole list of scheduled events this year, but that place is pretty much booked almost the entire year. So we also made improvements on the inside of the building. We've redone the track to match what we did last year with the court. So I greatly appreciate that. And then the parking lot, that's a massive parking lot. So we've done it in sections. We did a little bit last year, and once again this year, we've set aside $350,000 for a mill and overlay of the south portion. Eastport Marina, I'd like to give Brad and Heather and their team a shout out. East Peoria owns the marina. We have a third-party management that operate that marina and do a phenomenal job. So over the winter, and I'm not sure they're quite finished yet, but the pools, that pool is a city-owned pool. They've redone the restroom, so full renovation of the restrooms. And then a couple years ago, I mentioned that we bought a piece of dredging equipment, and Brad and his staff do a good job dredging out the marina. Obviously, that went a number of years without being dredged, and you really saw that with the lack of boats down there in the slips. So that thing's really filling up, and they've done a great job, been great partners, and we'll continue to make reinvestment into the marina. Okay, just a couple project updates. One of them I talked about upgrading the city software for all you IT people or even the businesses that have upgraded it. You know, you have a schedule that you'd like to stick to. Well, that doesn't necessarily work when you haven't upgraded your stuff in 30 years. So we've gone live with permitting. We've gone live with payroll, and that's something you don't mess up. So we had to run a lot of parallels, and there were some delays. East Peoria is very unique in the fact that we have 4 different payrolls. Each department kind of had its own way of doing payroll, and a lot of it's reflective of what we're required to do by contract. So anyway, it took a little longer than we had hoped, but this year, the reason why I put that up there to talk about utility billings next up, and we're hoping to go live with that maybe late summer, sometime this year. And then later this year will be asset management component. But our hope is, it's a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, saving the tax dollars, saving stress on city staff because it's a lot easier to manage than old school methods. So then also up there I have the comprehensive plan, which is ongoing. The reason why I want to touch on that, that's another thing that we really had a lot of community engagement on. And one of the things the city council recently addressed, which is part of that comprehensive plan, is senior living facilities. And surprisingly, 2 things that people really wanted to see as part of the comprehensive plan is more options for senior living, and we have 7 facilities currently, and the other is more mixed-use development. That one really surprised me because we've done a good job of bringing that with the Blue Town project and some things that we've got on the horizon that I'll speak to. But the comprehensive plan, we should have that wrapped up in front of the council for their approval by summer. I also like to point out part of the comprehensive plan, and this has been kind of contentious with the solar farms, and I'm hoping my dear friends at the state level can go back with some legislation and protect the city's 1.5 mile planning jurisdiction, because for East Peoria, how that adversely impacted us, and it kind of pitted us against our friends at the county board level, and nobody wants to do that. We all need to be working together. But the solar farms, the way that legislation, what was the way it reads, it doesn't protect, if you will, our mile-and-a-half jurisdiction. And part of your comprehensive plan is future growth. And our only area of growth is south, Pinecrest, south of Moeller. And whether it's residential or commercial, doesn't matter. That's really our only opportunity. So we're going to have a very comprehensive plan to present later this summer. Okay, I just put this up there. I'm not going to read it to you, but the branding. So we landed on the branding. We've rolled it out. We're going to continue to roll out. There's a lot of things that need to be rebranded, and I made it clear when I brought forward the branding idea, and we landed on the branding company that we used. They went out, did a lot of homework, and they presented about, I don't know how many hundreds of pages worth of documentation backing it up. But this is what's called a brand narrative. So when you say, well, how did you come up with that tagline? This is literally the first paragraph. In a brand narrative, when you have a brand, it's really a promise that you will deliver on whatever that brand is. And we really felt it was important to differentiate East Peoria from any other surrounding communities. Surprisingly, when they cast the net out, a lot of people outside this area told them, well, you know, the only bad thing about East Peoria is it's not safe. What? Well, it's on the east side of Peoria. And this is why it's critical. We are an extremely safe community. Hats off to all our public servants that ensure that. We don't apologize for that. But that's the importance of having your own brand. And so this is the first paragraph as to what leads you to East to excellence. And that in itself is something that we must strive for. But I just thought I'd share there's a whole narrative that goes behind that brand. Okay, wayfinding signs. So in this budget, we set aside $125,000 to start moving forward with changing out our brand and our signs. And these are just some of the examples that we're currently looking at. The middle picture on some routes coming into East Peoria that aren't as the main travel routes, we've already got on order. That is the sign that we've gone with. Ty's already worked on that, and they're on order. But this is going to be a little taste of what you can expect. We get a lot of complaints about the poor signage coming into East Peoria. We get it, you know, but I wasn't, until we had the brand, I wasn't about to go out and invest money on new signage. So look forward to that this coming year. Bluetown, just want to give everybody an update. We're just Ty, Jeff Becker, who's our finance director. Ty's our director of planning and community development. And I traveled to Indianapolis on Wednesday to meet with Flaherty and Collins, the developer, and then another developer that works a lot of projects together with Flaherty and Collins. Just want to put this up there as an update. We get a lot of questions on the steel beams. Hey, what is that? What's going there? That's the commercial side of the Bluetown development. So in talking to them, they plan to have leased out by August 1st. They're going to have folks moving in. And it's going to be a big move-in day. So when we asked how many are on that list, right now it's currently 180. That doesn't mean when the time's right, when those things are completed, that 180 could be 50% of that. But they're confident by the next cycle, by next spring or next summer, they're going to have that entire complex leased out. So the commercial space is separate from that. They had a little hiccup with the fire retardant, and I wasn't surprised because we were watching those guys. I don't know, but I'll leave it right there. Won't even mention names, but they did bid on the police station, and that's the only thing I intervened on and said, I'm a hard no on that. We'll spend the extra money to bring in somebody else, but they have to redo the fire retardant on the beams. Obviously, it's winter, so that's not going to happen. So the commercial space is bumped out until the end of October. Brienzo's, they already made their public announcement. They'll be one of probably 2 restaurants that go in that space. And then they assured us that they've had others that I can't announce today that they're trying to get LOIs on that will go in that commercial space. They're super excited, not just about that project, but I'll talk a little bit more here in a little bit about some more exciting news coming. Hampton Inn. Frontier Hospitality currently has 2 hotels here in East Peoria. They're a Quad City-based group. They do a phenomenal job, and they approach the city. Hampton Inn, the property just outside here, is over 30 years old. And just every hotel brand, they're only going to allow you to operate so long before they come back and say, hey, you have to do something new. That's a major investment. So Frontier picked up the Hampton brand, approached us. They will be building a brand new 100-room, 4-story, I believe, hotel right down next to Granite City on the riverfront. And they're due to break ground in April, about a 14-month construction time on that. So we're looking at summer of next year. We'll have a brand new property. The good news here is George Johnson Development owns the Hampton out here. That's got to be rebranded. And I know there was discussion, and it's his decision to make about whether to rebrand it, reinvest in his property, or sell it off. And we're super hopeful with the TIF that we'll give final approval to next Tuesday night. That will kind of convince him maybe to take a hard look and reinvest in this property and keep it. Because they've had it. They're the ones that built it here. And that's one thing about East Peoria. A lot of people may not realize. I came from that background, hospitality, before coming into this office. East Peoria has 11 hotels. And I can honestly say, in the region that I covered, I was in sales, there's no other community that has held on to their brands and their hotels like East Peoria has. And we fill them. And we really support our hotel community, and they do a great job, and that's why people keep coming back. Okay, here's a couple of, some of these have been announced already. One's going to be newly announced today, and that's Prairie Farms. So Prairie Farms will be constructing a new facility on Pinecrest in the 700 block right next to Iron Mountain. Got their permission to make that announcement. They've been a fixture in the Peoria area for a long time. I'm 59 and they were here when I was a kid. So, and then Five Below, that's being constructed next to Kohl's. And then we recently announced that Boot Barn and Best Buy will be coming to the Levy District. Boot Barn, new to the region, country western apparel store. Sheriff Lauer's super excited about it. Now I know he's going to be coming to East Peoria and spending his tax dollars. But you know, I had a question from the media about swaying business from Peoria. We don't do that. We don't operate that way. Listen, businesses come to East Peoria. They approached us. We don't go out. I don't go out and try to take any business from any community. The way I look at it, we have folks that live here and work there and vice versa. But that's a choice they make. I have a lot of confidence in our business community. It's very thriving, whether it's a small mom and pop or a large manufacturer. East Peoria does very well here, but we also support our business community and their right to make their own decision. Okay, this is a big deal. Center Street Crossing. What is that? That is the next levy district, if you will. Center Street runs between Sefcu and Costco, and it runs down into the Richland neighborhood. And the city purchased a couple parcels. We own land back there, but within the last year and a half, we purchased off a parcel off Sefcu and one off Cullinan to make it kind of a whole complete thing. Because it's what we did. We went and had an architect draft up a design of what we would like to see the next leg of development in East Peoria. Now, go back, talk about visionary leadership. In the original downtown 2010 plan, you had commercial, residential, and entertainment. So we did the commercial. Now we're doing the residential. Next up, we'd like to do the entertainment, where you have mixed use going up and down Center Street with the ability to close that space off and have community events, live music, all kinds of stuff. So part of our trip to Indianapolis wasn't just to meet with Flaherty and Collins and look at some of the stuff they've done over there in a phase 2. It's to meet with another developer, and I'm not going to name that developer today. But we had excellent meetings with both of them, and just the fact that Flaherty and Collins was already invested here, willing to do a phase 2, this other developer expressed strong interest in being part of this design plan. So we're super excited. More announcements to come soon, because one thing both developers made it clear is they're ready to go. So that's exciting news. So more to come on that. New Riverfront TIF district. So the City Council recently approved, initially on its first reading, a Riverfront TIF district. We'll give final approval next Tuesday night. This is a big deal. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, gee, what's really behind this? That's what's behind it, setting the stage for new development. So this city, with its visionary leadership, goes back decades on what it hoped to have developed out. Levy District is almost complete. We got the Hampton Inn going up on the riverfront. We've got the Putt Club now added with Bass Pro and Holiday Inn Express. And when I was a civilian, used to be up there at the city council meetings asking questions. They presented a plan, and I remember it was a working session, that showed future development along this corridor where this TIF is at. And it was designed to bring down some type of main road and connect 116 across Farm Creek into that new development that was planned for where Bass Pro's at. So it's all we're doing is delivering on something that's been in the works for a long time. And when you look at this corridor, there hasn't been a lot of redevelopment in 30 years. So the idea here is to, create this new TIF district and set the stage for additional development. I mentioned earlier, this is the new zoning classification. One of the things that have been made abundantly clear to us is more senior living options. And really is what this is, and this is already approved. We approved it at the last council meeting. We currently have 7 senior living facilities, and I know there was a recent announcement about the big one on Centennial, and they made the seniors move out and find a new place to live. At the end of the day, we feel strongly that we have an obligation, especially with the comprehensive plan, not just to protect the ones that are here, but to encourage and make a pathway for those that want to either expand or come here. We made an investment on Centennial with station number 2 up there. And really what was driving that was the calls for service up there with the senior living facilities. So this was our part in protecting what we have and ensuring a pathway for those that want to come here. Levy Park, just want to briefly touch on that. So the splash pad will be the next phase. That's going to happen this year. Hopefully late summer, maybe. I'm not quite sure where they're at with the timeline, but I know they've already got stuff on hand. I know they're going to be going out for bid, I believe, on installing that. But that splash pad will be located right outside the reading garden. And then there's a little snapshot. People may not remember this. The bell tower at the Four Corners, we disassembled that. And a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, that's history. They got rid of it. No, we didn't. We're going to repurpose that. So we're working on a design right now. City Council's allocated $100,000 in this year's budget to come up with a new design. These will actually be functional, and they hadn't been in a number of years. So we're buying the equipment to make them function, incorporate it in the design, more of a gateway design down there at Levy Park to complement what's already going on. Believe it or not, bipartisanship really does work. Senator Kaler, you can start smiling. He was really one of the driving forces in this, and people are looking at this like, what in the world is this? Believe me, I didn't know. 3 years ago, I had no idea anything about port districts, ports commission. I knew nothing. I see barges going up and down this river. I don't know where they came from, where they're going. Well, I've educated myself because they invited me to attend one of their meetings to welcome a group about 3 years ago, Mayor Ali and myself. And so I try to do my homework. I don't just like to get up and welcome people without knowing who they are and why they're here. But here's what's fascinating. The Illinois Riverway and all the port districts, the 5 that encompass 10 counties along Illinois River, were never federally recognized, ever. And a lot of stuff moves up and down the Illinois River. Well, what does that mean? That means the Mississippi, which has been federally recognized for eons, gets all the federal funding. So these folks really did a lot of hard work, and Senator Kaler, Representative Chung, I know you were a big part of this. They went to town at the state level and created what's called the Illinois Waterway Ports Commission. And that entity oversees the 5 port districts that encompass 10 counties, including Peoria and Tazewell. And there's a lot of stuff that moves on the river. So this was unanimous. I know, I had to put it up there to show people we can really do this. And this impact, the economic impact, is huge to the Illinois River. I mean, every community along the Illinois River, it doesn't matter what side of the river you're on, we all benefit. This is a huge economic impact to Illinois. And this is a big deal. So literally, they create this, the governor signs off on it. They do a phenomenal job. The Corn Belts, Chris Smith, you have Bob Sinkler, who's a retired, I believe, lieutenant colonel or colonel, and Dr. Singh, and just 3 people, and they got an office in the Twin Towers building, and they really have put a lot of effort behind this. And I want to say, now that we're federally recognized, after the first year, this Ports Commission was ranked 42 in the top 50 ports by Global Trade Magazine. It went from not existing, really, on paper, to being ranked 42nd. And then with the United States Department of Transportation, it's ranked as the number 24 port. In Tazewell County, I was surprised to learn, moves the most cargo. It's 3.7 million tons per year, go up and down that river. So next slide, and this is where it's leading today. Just last week, Dr. Singh put together, she sent a thing out to all the mayors in all the river towns and cities along the Illinois River that are within this district, and asked if we would join them for a meeting, and they wanted to present a new initiative. And this is a big deal, and I got behind it quickly. I know Mayor Ali did as well, but there were a total of 6 mayors that could attend last week's meeting, and on the folks that joined us is Mississippi. I think it's called the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. It's been in place for a very long time. These folks have a seat at the table in front of Congress. Matter of fact, next week, and they invited us to join them. It doesn't work out with my schedule, to tag along with them to see what they do. But the whole idea is this is a private-public partnership, and it's to put you on the map and try to secure funding. And really, I put it down here, it's to influence national policy investment decisions. And the Mississippi River, when you look at the amount of money that goes into their locks and dams and their portways and port districts, a lot of that is because these folks are in front of the people that make those decisions. So is what we're gonna do here is create our own initiative. They're gonna guide us along. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're super happy because at the end of the day, we dump into the Mississippi, so it impacts them no different. So this is going to be a big deal. Stay tuned. There's more to come on that. Events in 2025, I won't list them all. These just a snapshot of what we can expect. By the way, Felipe's got the new logo on his hat. We're working on getting that registered. We had to redo all that stuff with the new brand. But Cars and Coffee will be back in April. That'll run through October. That's Cars and Coffee on the first Saturday of every month, and then the third Friday night is Friday Night Lights. Got the farmers market coming back in. I didn't check with Commissioner Hill. I hope I have my timeline right, but I was told by Ty, I believe June is when it kicks off this year, a little bit later start, and that'll run through, I believe, September. and then a couple of nonprofits. So we'll host in all, I think I made a note here somewhere. I think a lot of people are surprised. We host like 7 or 8 nonprofit events that the city hosts every year that go to great causes that are local. And these are just 2 of them. The annual duck race, I think this year it's scheduled for August 23rd. That's the main fundraiser for the Center for Prevention of Abuse. They do a phenomenal job. And the Teresa Tracy Trot brings over 700 participants every fall. And I see they've added OSF. I think they just handed out all the money they've raised. But that organization is all volunteer, and they've raised over $1 million. And those funds 100% have stayed locally to support the fight against pancreatic cancer. And a guy that I have the utmost respect for sadly just announced this week that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer that's already spread, and that's Jim Edgar, former governor. So I sent a little note out to him. I did the Edgar's class in 2022, and I kind of wish he would have stayed out of the national spotlight this past election cycle, because he does a great job. I feel strongly when I tell you this. I view him as the last great statesman we've had as a governor. That guy worked across the aisle, and that's something we so desperately need in this country. So desperately. So I have a lot of respect for him, and of course, if you don't mind keeping him and his family in your thoughts and prayers, I know he's going to undergo a pretty aggressive treatment, I believe, through Mayo, is what he announced. But East Side events, like I said, that place is going to be booked for like 42 weeks out of the year. Everything from volleyball that already started in January through softball at the end of the season in October, and a lot of things in between. Got the Red, White, and Boom, I believe, coming back this year. Rick hasn't told me yet. He usually tells me June 30th, I think. No, just kidding. But yeah, that'll be a big one. And this year it'll be 41st Annual Festival of Lights Parade. So appreciate that. And then real quick, I always like to, go ahead, John. I always like to include the other pillars in our community. I reached out, not going to go down all these bullet points. I'm going to keep talking long enough so you can read some of them, because I really think it's important as a community that we're on the same page and we support each other. You know, whether I'm up there grill about something that I don't like that's going on, it's never anything personal. It's all about us trying to work together to better our community and support each other in our endeavors. So I always feel it's important to include them in State of the City address. So I reached out and asked for highlights from this past year and things that they would like to tout about themselves. And Craig and his team at the Fond du Lac Park District shared kind of some updates about what they have going on. And I know they've received some grant monies, and they received another $600,000 grant and a $50,000 grant that he's put down there. One of the exciting things is tennis is coming back. East Peoria High School will be playing tennis on Fond du Lac Park District tennis courts, and that's a big deal. And we appreciate all the improvements the park districts make, better quality of life for our residents. Fond du Lac District Library, and I apologize to these entities. I had to cut some stuff out of your stuff just to make it fit, and then I was playing with the size of the stuff. There's a lot that they have going on as well. Gina and her team do a good job, and these are just accomplishments that they have and some programs that they have going into this next year. But there's really a big uptick on the digital side of things, and I think that's going to continue to grow. It's just kind of the nature of where we're headed as a society. But here's a list of exciting things that they have going on this coming year. So appreciate them. Illinois Central College, I was sweating this one out because I wasn't sure I was going to get this information in time, but thankfully I received it yesterday. But, you know, enrollment has increased. I know in the number at the top, that includes all of ICC, and in her notes to me, she made a point to tell me that on the East Peoria campus, there's about 6,600 students, and our youngest, which are twins, you know what? For the second year in a row, I forgot to introduce my wife. Allie, please stand up. I know she's going to be embarrassed. No, listen, she deserves this. Here I am talking about my kids. I look over, she's smiling at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I did it again. Listen, without her, I couldn't do what I do. She's my sounding board. She gets to hear it all, good, bad, all of it. So I love her and I appreciate her support. But yeah, our twins have decided that they're going to stay put for the first 2 years as they graduate high school this year. They want to attend ICC, and they've already been taking some of the courses through the high school. So super exciting. A big one here is the United States Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration awarded ICC another grant. They got a grant the first round and the second round, and this was the largest award amount, and it went right here to ICC. And as you can tell, all the programs that they've not just implemented, but ongoing programs have really worked hard with the local companies, meeting their needs with workforce development, making sure we have skilled folks in those positions. Listen, we want everyone to stay here. So I think it's really important, and we appreciate the partnership with ICC. Real quick, before we get into the grade schools, I know Midwest Technical Institute is here today. Cole, I apologize. I sent you an email. Maybe you didn't get it. I was looking for some stuff to include them. They do a phenomenal job. They're located right up there off Pinecrest, High Point area, and they also do a great job with workforce development, making sure that we can meet the needs of the open positions. And I appreciate you and your staff, Cole, and all that you guys do for our community. District 86, Tony sent me a slew of good things going on at 86. I touched on the SRO program. That's a big deal for both the school districts, the police department, and our community as a whole. He included some of their academic growth and kind of where East Peoria is at. And it's just awesome to see all 7 schools and where they rate today. I don't think the rating system is very fair. Personally, I'm a little biased. We have great schools. Product of the schools myself, as are our kids. And I can't say enough good things about our educators, but we appreciate 86 very much. Obviously, a big focus on safety and security, and that's ongoing. And we do a great job of working with our schools to make sure that we meet their needs as well. So facility work, there's a lot of ongoing renovations. We have a lot of aged buildings in East Peoria, as you know, not just city, but school district-wise, and they've really done a good job tackling and upgrading a lot of the facilities. So thank you and your staff for all that you guys do. District 309. Okay, so a couple of people I'd like to point out here. We have a Citizen of the Year is one of Cassie. Stand up, please. Let's give Cassie a round of applause. Not trying to embarrass anyone. She received the Citizen of the Year award recently. Many of you in this room already know that, but it was well deserved. She does a phenomenal job. And then Dr. Marjorie Gruder, if you don't mind standing up. 37 years in education. Now, because I'm bald, a lot of people thought maybe I was in education, because I gotta be honest with you, I'd probably be on the wrong side of the law in today's world if I was in education. That's just how I'm wired. Hats off to you, but Marjorie's gonna be retiring this year after 37 years, and she and I serve on a couple of boards together, and I know maybe now she'll hear it from me straight up here. I've been in her business a few times about things I didn't agree with, but just coming from a perspective of a parent and really looking out for the community. But I also recognize that doesn't fall on her shoulders. You know, there's some things that I don't agree with that have been pushed down from the state level, and I'll leave that there, but that was never anything personal to you. You've done a phenomenal job, and I wish you well, and I've enjoyed working with you. So she'll be here through June 30th. Yep, but hats off. So she sent me a list of some things that they've been working on. Once again, a lot of old facilities that we have that really you try to, improve as time goes on and funds are available. Yeah, I kind of spent all my time on you talking about you guys, but I appreciate it. But literally, I couldn't be more proud of our schools and kind of where they're at. And You know, it's not an easy profession to be in. They're educators, they're not parents. And oftentimes we tend to forget that. And there's a lot of patience and hard work and dedication that goes into that. It's harder and harder to attract people that would be interested in that. And they've done a really good job, both school districts, of making sure that they do their part to fill those positions and keep the schools moving forward. So thank you and your staff for all you do. Just would like to shout out Heart of Illinois Mayors Association. I've been very involved in that in 6 years. Great group of about 24 mayors throughout the Heart of Illinois region. And we just had a meeting in Germantown Hills. They hosted. I usually host February. I moved out of the way to allow them to host that one. It was important to them and it was a great attendance. But it was there that I learned that some of the mayors that I've worked with for the last 4 years are no longer going to be in those positions, whether it was by choice or whatever happens come April. But a few of them have decided not to run again, and I just want to give them all a big thank you because from my perspective, I know how challenging this job is at times. And one thing I like to stress to all the mayors, whether it's a village of 500 people or a town the size of Peoria that's 90,000, you all have the same set of challenges. They're just in, some could be in smaller scale or larger scale. And by working together and sharing ideas and resources, it's all about lifting this region. And I got to tell you, every single one of them serving in their roles today have done a phenomenal job of supporting not just their community, but the Heart of Illinois region. So just a big shout out to them. And I'm going to leave this right there too. I've said that a few times today. I've been asked countless times about what's going on with this casino. I'm not going to make any public comment. I already have. I did it in the form of an email. And that email I knew would go public. And that was more so to share what our position has been and will continue to be. And as business people, this is absolutely the truth. And this is why East Peoria is going to continue to succeed and move forward. We value all members of our business community. The reason why we thrive today, we're there to support you. We're not there to tell you what to do, how to do your job, where you have to be. That's your decision to make. I'll respect that decision. We'll support you. End of story. So I just want all you in the room to know that's kind of what our position is. And when they make their decision, we'll support their decision. So thank you all for being here today. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. I know for those that come to these things, I just tend to ramble, put up a slide and I start talking. I have a lot of passion for this community, but a lot of it is driven by the support we get from our members of our business community. And I would personally like to thank Rick Swan and the Chamber for all they do. We have a phenomenal Chamber board and a phenomenal ambassador group. These people are very passionate in supporting each other. And that's what makes all of us successful. So thank the Chamber for hosting this event. Thank you, the Paradise, for being a gracious host, doing a great job. We threw out a wrench here. I wanted 2 screens this year. I failed to mention it until about the 11th hour. But they made it work as they always do, and thank you for all you do. And we're sure glad you're a part of our community here. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a great day. And Rick, if you're open for it, I'll take questions if you have them. Not that I'm going to give you the answer you might be looking for.
Du must be punished.
I'll be around for a while too. I know I'm going to do a couple of media interviews, but I'll be around for a while. If you have questions and you just don't want to ask in front of the group, that's fine too. I'll stay as long as I have to. Don't. Seeing that, wow, this is an easy crowd. Either that or I put you to sleep. But John, thank you for being my assistant today. I think Office Max might be getting this thing back. No, I'm just kidding. I have a feeling it's due to the distance. But anyway, thank you guys. Have a great day, and let's keep moving East Peoria forward.
All right, I've got about 30 minutes here, so if you need to use the restroom, go ahead. I won't mind. No, again, yeah, John, great job. As again. Ms. Brown, anything to say as Citizen of the Year? Nothing? You're out? Okay, I kind of thought that. Couple of things we're working on at the Chamber. Of course, I can't express how much it means the relationship we have with the mayor, all the departments, the council, how supportive they are. I mean, that makes it work because we probably talk at least 2, 3, 4 times a week, if not more. Yeah, and you know, and all the departments and things too. Corey and I, we wear each other's phones out, you know, on things that we're doing with East Side and the events. So that's what makes it work. It's talking it through, making sure that we're doing the right things and getting the opinion of others. And that's what, in the businesses too, we really enjoy when you call and talk to us. You know, if you got a problem, call us. We'll solve it. So one way or the other, it'll get solved. So one of the initiatives that the mayor and I and our board president, Mr. Triggs, are working on right now is the Choose Greater Peoria initiative. And I know several of the folks in the room are part of that also. That initiative's funded by the Gilmore Foundation and started through those folks. And what it is retaining and recruiting employees. That's how it started. You know, there's a gap in the employee sector of the businesses here. And so what they're trying to do is get people to come here, stay here, and work here. So we're working on that. It's a great initiative and doing a lot of things with that. So we'll continue with that. So if you see things, Choose Greater Peoria or the Gilmore Foundation, we're working with that right now. So the other thing is, if you know someone that would like to work with a real difficult individual, we do have an opening at the Chamber. So it's not a bad job, you know, especially in the summertime. You know, there's a lot of things that happen during the summer that's fun.
Rick golfs and you get to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. That was part of the job description, too, matter of fact. So, yeah. So, anyway, so we do have that. So, if you know someone, it's 8 to 4:30 every day, Monday through Friday. So, give me a call or email me, whatever, and we'll take a look at things. The other thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't, again, I know the mayor did this, but we need to recognize these folks. PD, stand, please. Fire department, please. Public Works, and the folks from East Side. Guys, I can't tell you how much we hear from businesses, citizens, everyone, how safe they feel here. They feel safe. They know that with the fire department, with the paramedics and all the work they do, you know, their reaction time is, what, about 4 minutes, Bobby? Somewhere in that. So think about that. You know, that's max in some cases. So what they do is phenomenal. And again, as the mayor mentioned, personally, with Jan, we've had that situation. So top notch. And East Side, we completed another Felipe, and we're already planning for next year. So Corey and all your folks there, East Side, we've got several things coming up that we partner with them on. So just a great, great year coming up. Mayor mentioned 4th of July. Deputy Chief and Chief, I met yesterday with folks at Walmart, and it's going to be safe. That's one thing this year is going to be different, and we'll be getting those things out. But you can rest assured you will be safe in Riverfront Park.
I just
Right.
had one
Yeah.
real quick thing as Rick's talking. We don't apologize for keeping our community safe. That's the number one priority we have, and we take that very seriously. I'd like to point out with the PD on that slide thing, and I did fail to mention that talking point, calls for service. So we saw a slight uptick with the fire department over prior year. With the police department, they had over 27,000 calls for service in 2024. That's an uptick of 33%. And I want people to realize it's not just folks in need calling. This is a reflection of how proactive our police department is. We are fully staffed, which is rare, especially in the state of Illinois. And there's a lot that goes behind that. And it's a reflection of the leadership at the police department. It's a reflection of the officers that serve our community. But they're very proactive. We're not going to apologize for that. We will continue that. But that represents about a 33% increase. But I think you need to know that. Whether you're a business or a resident here in East Peoria, we take that very seriously. And we'll continue to do so. Thanks.
No, that's very important. Again, we got several events coming up. Just check our website. Right now it's a one-man show, which is not real effective with the computer. So, we'll fix that. But a big, again, thanks to the Paradise. I know Tommy was out chasing the chickens all morning to get enough eggs for us. So, he's been working on that. Kelsey, Angie, and Kendra, thank you for helping registration. That's always important. Just a big thanks to everyone. It's a great community. It's great working with everyone. Just got a lot of good things going. So I know the building trades, all the young folks that you're getting through the system, ICC, all the folks there, the high school, the grade schools. That's so important, because Caterpillar, I know they're celebrating the 100th year this year, 100 years in one spot. So that's important, but getting the people there to work is so important, and all the other different organizations here that need employees. So again, big thank you, and again, for your support, and we will see you next time.